if I told you that the US government once ran a secret program to drug its own citizens, rewrite human behaviour and erase memories, all in the name of national security? This isn't a rumour, it's not internet gossip, it is in the US Senate report, the 1977 hearings on Project MKUltra, the CIA's mind control program. The files were never meant to be found. In 1973, the CIA destroyed the evidence, but a few boxes survived. And when Congress finally saw them, the truth shocked even the hardened senators. So let's break down what they actually found. How it started. In the early 1950s, the Cold War was pure paranoia. Washington was terrified that the Soviets, or the Chinese, had discovered a way to brainwash prisoners of war. So the CIA decided to beat them to it. Enter Project MKUltra, an umbrella program launched in 1953 by CIA chemist Sidney Gottlieb under the agency's Technical Services Division. Its mission? Research into behavioural modification. Behind that phrase was a sprawling network, 149 sub-projects, 80 institutions, 85 researchers. According to Admiral Stansfield Turner, Director of Central Intelligence, testifying before the Senate in 1977. Many of these researchers knew the CIA was funding them. Money flowed through fake foundations and front companies. So on paper it looked like ordinary university grants. The experiments. Now here's where it gets darker. Senator Edward Kennedy told the hearing that the CIA officers had drugged Americans, all at social levels, high and low, native and foreign, without their knowledge or consent. Agents slipped LSD into drinks in bars, restaurants, even company parties, then secretly watched the results. One famous case was Dr. Frank Olson, an army scientist at Fort Detrick. In 1953 he was secretly dosed with LSD at a CIA retreat. A week later, disorientated and paranoid, he fell, or was pushed, from a New York hotel window. He died instantly, and the agency called it suicide. And when the family learned the truth some 20 odd years later, it became a national scandal. But Olson wasn't the only victim. The CIA admitted that heroin addicts were offered their next fix if they agreed to LSD tests. Others were lured to safe houses in San Francisco and New York, where prostitutes on the CIA payroll would spike drinks and cameras filmed every reaction. These operations had code names like Operation Midnight Climax. And yes, that was official. The goal was to see whether drugs or hypnosis could break resistance, erase memory, or make a person obey commands. According to the Senate record, the CIA also funded electroshock experiments on unwitting patients, hypnosis combined with drugs to implant suggestions, tests on criminal sexual psychopaths held in state hospitals, and even harassment substances and aerosol delivery systems, essentially chemical weapons designed for covert use. Admiral Turner confirmed that sub-projects included research on biological agents, sleep deprivation, energy transfer in organic systems, and even controlling animal behaviour. One sub-project turned into a K-drug, a knockout compound that could render somebody unconscious on command. Another funded research into extrasensory projects, perception, yes, ESP, as a potential intelligence tool, the act to cover up. By the 1960s, internal CIA inspectors were warning that MKUltra was out of control. In 1963, an Inspector General report urged limits, and by 1964, the project was supposedly shut down. But when investigators came calling a decade later, almost everything was gone. In 1973, just before resigning, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered all MKUltra files destroyed. Thousands of documents gone forever. So when the Senate first investigated in 1975, during the Church Committee and the Kennedy Subcommittee inquiries, the CIA claimed it couldn't remember the details. No one knew their names, the numbers, or the scope. A little bit like NASA when they lost all the technology to take them back to the moon. Then came a twist straight out of a spy novel. In 1977, thanks to a Citizens Freedom of Information Act, a CIA employee digging through a storage facility discovered 7 boxes of old financial records that had been misfiled in the budget archives and accidentally survived Helms' purge. And those boxes blew the case wide open. Inside were vouchers, receipts, and project outlines showing a vast network to covert research, much larger than anyone had ever suspected. That's what forced the CIA back before Congress for a new round of hearings. The revelations. Admiral Turner testified that the 449 sub-projects could be grouped into 15 categories, from drug testing to hypnosis, to polygraph studies, magician tricks for covert operations, and even crop sabotage. He confirmed that 17 projects tested drug and alcohol without using humans, 14 definitely used human volunteers, 19 probably used them, and 6 involved unwitting subjects, people who never agreed to participate. He also revealed that the CIA had secretly given $375,000 through an intermediary to the building fund of a private medical institution. Because the money looked like a private donation, the hospital unknowingly received matching federal construction funds. In plain English, the CIA laundered tax-funded money through fake donors to build part of a hospital for its own use. Senator Richard Schreiker called it for what it was, a fraud on the federal government and on the American people. And remember, this is just what survived in those 7 boxes. Turner admitted that even the recovered files were mostly financial, not operational. There were a few records to begin with, he said, and less after the destruction of 1973. And the reaction? Senator Kennedy's response in that hearing was furious. He called the program a perversion and corruption of many of our outstanding research centres. Universities, hospitals, and scientists had all been tricked into doing the CIA's dirty work. He warned that many researchers, distinguished members of our scientific community, now do not know whether they were involved or not, and he demanded that every institution and individual involved be notified. Kennedy's final words cut deep. The best safeguard against abuses in the future is a complete public accounting of the abuses in the past. Yet no one was ever charged. Helms, the man who ordered the records to be destroyed, walked free. Sidney Gottlieb retired quietly in Virginia. The victims never got answers, and most never even knew that they'd been part of the experiment. Admiral Turner ended his testimony by assuring the committee that the CIA is in no way engaged in either witting or unwitting testing of drugs today. But can we really take that on faith? Why it still matters? MKUltra isn't ancient history. It's a warning label on power without oversight. It showed how secrecy and fear can justify anything. How words like research and national security can hide crimes. The same agency that claimed to protect democracy used human beings as lab rats. It blurred the line between defence and abuse, and then buried the evidence. So when you hear new buzzwords today, behavioural analytics, neuro warfare, psychological operations, AI persuasion, remember that half a century ago, the government already tried to hack the human mind. They just called it something else. MKUltra isn't just a story about the past. It's a test of memory, ours. Because the moment we forget what they did, all those things they did in secret, it all starts again. If you found this eye-opening and you're still awake, congratulations and thank you. The truth doesn't need conspiracy, it's there in black and white. Let me know what you think in the comments. Look after yourselves, and I will speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.